Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We begin with the things that the models have been most consistent with, and this is the first one. While much of the rest of this week shows up on the drier side of things, by the time we get toward the end of the week and the weekend, we are watching for this corridor to see a lot more precipitation. Some locations from eastern Texas through Arkansas and then eventually here over into parts of the Mid-South, getting into Tennessee and Kentucky, will be adding an additional 1 to, in some locations, over 4 inches of rainfall. Now, it's coming out of 2 large systems. I'll show you them in just a few moments, but we can already see some of these rainfall amounts here getting quite high. Now, this is the next 5 days, so this takes us out to Saturday evening. Let me show you the 5 days that follow that. This is what the picture looks like. Again, we see wide open Gulf of Mexico moisture transport. I can tell you running right over the top of this is a very, very strong branch of the subtropical jet stream, and we are therefore going to be under the influence of warmer conditions, but also very, very wet conditions, and the flooding threat in through this area is going to continue to be high in the near term here. Here's the second thing the models have been quite consistent with, and that is the placement of where the greatest severe weather risk is at the end of this week. This map from the Storm Prediction Center is showing you where we're honing in on the greatest risk for Friday, especially Friday evening. It's going to be here in parts of Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, specifically targeting this corridor right in through here. And the things the models are picking up on, I think, are best shown in what we call a forecast sounding. So, we launch weather balloons every day, twice a day, and they measure the vertically, they measure how temperature, which would be this line here, and dew point temperature, which would be this line here, how those things change as you go up. Now, what we can do with this is we can start to assess the stability of the atmosphere by looking at those temperature profiles. And essentially what you want to have happen is you want to have cold air getting into the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere as fast as possible. And you want to have really, really warm air down at the surface. That will destabilize the atmosphere. In this particular situation, when you look right here, right on the border of Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, that's where I've targeted this forecast sounding. We're going to have temperatures Friday evening approaching 70 at the surface, with the upper level temperatures very quickly dropping off, building in some nice instability into the lower and upper levels of the atmosphere, almost the whole depth of it. This is good for this time of year in terms of how much instability we're seeing. But our biggest concern is how much the wind speeds change with height. And what I mean by that is we look at the forecast of how the wind speeds are changing as you go up in the atmosphere. And we do that often by looking at wind barbs, like I just circled here, but we also like to look at what's called a hodograph. Now, I'm going to spare you the details on a hodograph, but through all the training that I've had in severe weather, I'm just going to let you know when the shape of the hodograph looks something like this. I just kind of outline it. Looks like a candy cane laying on its side here. That particular shape is one that tells me that these storms will have the potential to rotate. They will also be capable of putting down some very, very strong winds. And while I don't think these are going to be hailers, I don't think we're going to see a lot of hail out of this. It's just not quite cold enough in the upper levels of the atmosphere. The potential for them to being able to produce wind damage is very, very high, both from tornadoes, possibly a lot of isolated tornadoes out of these systems, and also from straight line winds. And that severe weather threat translates east on Saturday. So this is basically where we're going to be watching in the day on Saturday. It's a target area of Mississippi and Alabama, but extends up into parts of Tennessee, Kentucky, and east-west of there. So if you are in these regions, here on Friday, and then over here, I'll put an S on it on Saturday. Those are the areas that I want you to be being very vigilant, watching the radar, tune into the National Weather Service for your severe weather updates, okay? Here's the third thing the model's been consistent with, and that is the temperatures. This animation is going to start off for high temperatures today on Tuesday. And what you already notice here is that there's warmth returning to much of Texas, getting up into the central part of the United States. We got some cooler weather in the Mid-South to start this week, and it gets all the way over here into the Mid-Atlantic. And we will be talking about some snow in this area in a few moments. But watch these temperatures change here with time. So this is Tuesday's highs. Watch Wednesday. Here's Thursday. By Thursday, widespread 70s across our southern region. And in fact, by the time we get into Friday, we're going to see 80s spreading in southern Texas and Florida. Now you can start to see on Thursday the main frontal boundary pushing through the central part of the United States. And look at this. We may see high temperatures down here that are in the middle 80s and low temperatures up here in the plains that'll be in the negative single digits. It's incredible to see that spread of temperatures across the United States. But as we play this out, this is Friday's high temperatures getting into Saturday. What starts off as a cool week here in the Carolinas finishes on a very warm note. But with that warmth comes precipitation, and we're going to see that pushing through. Here's Sunday's highs. We're already starting to see the rebounding of the warmth happening as the next big push comes through. And look at it. We already pull those temperatures right back up for next Monday. So any shot at some cooler air in the near term is temporary, maybe lasting 1 or 2 days, and we go right back over to above average temperatures. And I'll show you those long range numbers in just a few moments. So what are we watching today? Well, this region right in through here is highlighted for flood threat, and to the south of it we already have on a lot of the rivers snaking through parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. All the tributaries right in here into the Mississippi already have flood warnings out for them. Stronger winds part of the day here in South Carolina, and you notice here just to the north in the Mid-Atlantic we have winter weather advisories and winter storm watches in place. Let's kind of take a look at what we're going to see here. There is a weak low pressure system right here moving through Tennessee and Kentucky in the overnight hours, such that by early this morning it was moving into parts of the Appalachian Mountains in West Virginia and Virginia right here. So if we take a look at 8 o'clock this morning, the main low pressure system is sitting here. The front is pushing through parts of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. It'll be through Raleigh by mid-morning, and it'll cut through the rest of South Carolina through the rest of the afternoon. But we're going to pay close attention to that rain-snow line. That'll be most difficult forecast there. That'll stretch from parts of Central Virginia over toward Washington, D.C. D.C. may start off with rain through midday, and then a switch over later in the day to some snow. We'll take a look at the snowfall amounts. Now, after this, by 5 o'clock tonight, we've already got this thing up into the out of the Mid-Atlantic and into the Northeast, and then we see dry weather throughout the day on Wednesday. This is all day Wednesday, getting into Thursday morning. Now, on Thursday morning, the high-pressure cell slides off the Northeast, and the return flow begins. Now, this is when the big warm-up shows up, and you can already see the widely scattered showers out here ahead of the main show, which will be in the day on Friday. So just to show you those snowfall amounts, this is from the National Digital Forecast Database. We can see that lined up right here with the mountains, we might possibly be able to get 4 to 6 inches, but surrounding it, getting over into Washington, D.C. area, there's a lot of 1 to 3 inch snowfall amounts. By the way, the European model is maybe your more favorable model on snowfall. You can see it's got a little bit broader swath here of that 1 to 4 inch snowfall amount, but that's all we're really anticipating here in Virginia and West Virginia. Okay, let's now see the timing of these next two big systems. So as we play this forward, we've seen through Thursday morning. So here we go. You'll notice, look how tightly packed together the isobars are. That is telling me the winds coming out of the south are going to be very strong, and the moisture transport with it will be quite high as well. So this is now Thursday evening into Friday morning, Friday midday. Widespread rain at that point. And remember, it is Friday afternoon and evening that we're beginning to watch this corridor for the greatest threat of severe weather. Now, widespread scattered showers here, and it's just a beautiful setup. Look at the high sitting here, just pumping the moisture around right here and across much of our southern region. So this is Friday evening getting into Friday overnight. You can see where the models are painting the heaviest rainfall at this time. Stretching this out into early Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday evening. This will now be the corridor. Remember, it shifts to the east where we're watching for the greatest severe weather threat. Again, an abundant amount of moisture, so getting up into parts of Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, this corridor may see some extremely heavy rainfall getting into the southern part of the Ohio River Valley and the Tennessee Valley. This is now midnight on Sunday, getting into Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and Sunday evening. So this is a multi-day event starting Friday, lasting through Sunday, passing through this area. Now, let's just take a look at where we get from here. Monday morning starts off, and already the moisture has returned again, and we're going to watch this corridor for the heaviest rainfall on Monday. And you see that as I press play and get through this Monday afternoon and evening. This is now Tuesday morning. The next system is pushing through here Tuesday afternoon and evening, and it just keeps soaking the same ground that you've seen wet so far. Now, I'm out here pretty far in the forecast. This is next Wednesday morning, the 15th. I just want to show you the models aren't slowing things down as we progress here out to the day 10 time period. So we have multiple shots at heavy rainfall in through this area. So putting some numbers on it, this is just through system number 1, which we say exits on Sunday morning. We can see that from eastern Texas through parts of Arkansas, Missouri, getting over to Tennessee, Kentucky, widespread 2+ inch rainfall event with a little corridor in through here that may possibly see over 4 inches. Now I'm going to add to this the systems that are following. So we're going to go for system number 1 through Sunday morning. This is what happens when we use the operational models to see all the way out to next Thursday. And it really pulls in the heavier rainfall amounts from that second system here into parts of, well, basically from Louisiana all the way over to the Appalachian Mountains in the Carolinas and through here. Very, very heavy rainfall on tap. It's maybe smarter to look at this in terms of what the ensembles are telling us in terms of departure from normal. So this is a precipitation anomalies. We can see that over the next 15 days, grabbing an additional 3 inches of rainfall in the southeast through the Ohio River Valley and back toward the lower Mississippi River Valley is a major possibility. These amounts decrease the closer you get to the shore, okay, and over Florida. And that's because the jet stream path is like this. These are not digging all the way here to the southeast, and that is the difference in the trajectory in the upper level winds. But just broadening this out, you can see the region that's targeting with the greatest precipitation anomalies over the next 15 days. Notice, coming back over into this part of our southern region, things are looking on the drier side of things. And that is the same area that has been dry for quite some time. Over the last 30 days, it's been this corridor right in through here that at times has seen much below average precipitation amounts. And while we're going to work on this corridor in through here, there will still be parts of New Mexico and Texas that after all of this is said and done will not have picked up much rain, if any at all. All right? So, what's the main player in the upper levels? This is going to be a constant theme through mid-January, maybe even beyond that. The jet stream comes streaking off here, splits around a big ridge. I'll put an H over it right there. Everything comes together and then screams on off to the north and east. And that flow pattern with the split out here in the open, Gulf of Alaska is just allowing trough after trough after trough to come sweeping into the southwest and a lift over the broader ridge that sits right here over parts of the Caribbean. And the moisture transport is on. So next 5 days, temperatures. We know that we're going to see a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but overall quite mild. Day 5 through 10, that's when the deeper trough really digs in out west. And this big ridge centered down here just keeps the heat on. And so you can see how much warmer than normal we're anticipating that day 5 through day 10 time period. And this just continues all the way out through the middle of the month. What do I have to see to get a pattern change? Well, I certainly don't see it yet as we stretch this out. Now this is crazy. From January 21st through February 21st. The new European weeklies are out and they are being quite consistent with this area staying wetter than average. And this again just tells me that they're trying to get the jet stream to come in and do something like this for the next month and a half at least. What it's going to take is this. The tropics are going to have to switch things up. We're seeing the MJO come out here into phase 4, 5, and 6. These by far are the warmest phases for the eastern half of North America. If the MJO curls right back around and does that path again, it's going to be at least 30 days before we get any sort of significant pattern change. We also have to see change here and here. You see right now the two more dominant ridge features in the upper levels of the atmosphere are pushing in on the North Pole, one coming from the Aleutian Islands, the other coming from Scandinavia. Now normally when we see this could be an indicator of changing things up for the eastern half of the United States. But in the near term, we're not seeing that, which means I'm going to have to tell you it's going to be beyond mid-month before we see any sort of substantial change in the flow of the jet stream. So with that, we're going to go and wrap it up right there. And I want to thank you for watching, give you an update on the long range tomorrow. So tune back in for that, okay? Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.